Hey, what's up guys and gals? My name is Rick9G. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to be talking about the Twilight Zone. More specifically, about a great episode that I know that you all know about if you're a fan of the Twilight Zone. It's called The Midnight Sun. Now, it aired November of 1961. It was a really great episode and it was so creepy, weird, strange, and it's something that we can all imagine, especially if you watch this episode during the summer. The story is about the Earth, and it deviates from its normal orbit and moves closer and closer to the sun. Now, there's a woman whose name is Norma. She's a painter, and she is good friends with her landlady, Mrs. Bronson. Now, they're trying to both cope with this extreme amount of heat, which continues to get worse and worse as the episode rolls on, and it becomes oppressive and just awful, and everyone begins to see the physical results of what happens when things heat up so much that the human body can't take anymore. It's kind of terrifying if you think about it, but at the same time, it's very interesting to watch. Now, I know a lot of you are big fans of knowing money amounts and how much this is worth, and how much salary actors made, and so forth. Now, let's dive deep into this episode and what it took to film it, because it's actually quite interesting, probably even more than the episode itself. Now, this episode, Midnight Sun, had only 3 days in which they could shoot it. That's not a lot, just for people who are not aware of how you shoot a film or even a television show. 3 days is really quick. And they only had $52,577. Now, that was in 1961. If we convert that to today, taking into account inflation, that's $500,000, $560,469.07. Now, again, $500,000 sounds like a lot, but it's actually not that much money. So they had to skimp and save and take shortcuts in order to make this episode possible. And I'll tell you how exactly they did it. In fact, it was pretty convincing if you do watch the episode. The director, Tony Leader, said that they had to do a lot of improvising while they were on set, and they had to use pretty much every means available in order to create this fear for the audience that is watching this, because again, they didn't have that much money for special effects or anything like that, so anything they had to use was clever, creative, and of course, had to be cheap. They used very particular makeup techniques to make it look like the actors were sweating, and that was super important because if you didn't believe that, then the episode wouldn't work. They also matted their hairdos so that that would look like the heat was just oppressive. They showed shots of quote-unquote mercury boiling, as well as breaking the glass in the thermometer, which that was lended to the mercury as well. Now, there were also paintings from the woman Norma, and the painting actually melted itself, and it was running down the canvas. Well, how did they do that? I know you're probably wondering. Well, that was accomplished by painting a picture in wax on the surface of a hot plate. Then by turning the hot plate on, of course, the wax would heat up, it would start melting, and you would see that dribbling down effect, which is kind of eerie, but so effective to see on camera. Now, the actors are very important too. They were very skilled at presenting the illusion that, of course, everything was doomed, especially the main actress, Norma. She was played by Lois Nettleton. She was the lead role, and as well as the landlady, she was really awesome, Betty Gard. They were talented actors, and so their talent really came through on screen. And this is possibly the thing that really added to the credibility of this episode, and that was they did make the actors suffer a bit. How did they do that? Well, if you know, in the 1960s, sound stages where they usually filmed a lot of these TV shows and movies, they were not air conditioned. Today they are air conditioned and it's super silent, so you can't even hear the air conditioning while it's on. But back then they were not air conditioned. And this episode was shot in the summer, so it was hot enough to give the initial feeling that it was warm. And so they could play off of that. It definitely was not cold in there. That would have taken a little bit more acting, but the fact that it was a little bit steamy in there naturally helped. It wasn't 1,000 degrees, but it was enough to be able to use that as the basis of your acting skills. Now, the director also told the electrical grip to add heat. Not so much heat that it would show up on film, but heat that would feel on the set, especially to the actors. It made it distinctively uncomfortable, that is what they recalled, but it helped them to develop the feeling that they had a lot of heat. After all, that is what they call method acting. And the effect was used, but they didn't use it throughout the entire episode because the director thought that that effect would have been lost if they did it too much. It just had to be enough where they could use this as the foundation of their acting. So the director had to walk that fine line between having a little bit of heat using the acting and the little common special effects that they had, because they didn't want to make it miserable on set. Remember, these are 3 days, they're already hot lights, it's already, of course, in summer and so forth. And so they had to walk the fine line. They had to keep their actors happy, but also make them slightly uncomfortable to make the role work. So let me know your thoughts down below. What do you think of this episode? Have you seen it? And is it one of your favorites? I think it's in my top 20 for sure, Twilight Zone favorites. I really, really like this episode. I won't ruin the ending for those who haven't watched it, but I think it is a really good one. And I would like to know if you figured out that really cool effect of the paint kind of dribbling down. I think it was really cool. But again, it was the 1960s. They didn't have CGI, so they had to use a practical way of doing it. And I think they did a pretty good job. So thanks so much for the support as always. Don't forget to leave a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe. Subscribing is truly, truly a way to support my channel. And I know a lot of you, probably about 30% of you are subscribed and a lot more aren't. So make sure you do. It's free to do so, and it really helps out the channel. I'm trying to hit 170,000 subscribers, and we're nearly there. So let's get over that hump and move on to 175,000. Thank you so much, and don't forget, everyone, be hopeful. A big recognition to my Diamond and Platinum tier patrons: Daniel B, Citizen Kane 359, David D, Russ C, Sally N, and Vito L. If you want to join the Patreon family and get exclusive perks, make sure to check the links in the description. Thanks.